This news is at 6. See you later.
This is the CBS Evening News. Dan Rather reporting. Good evening. An economic earthquake rolled through financial markets today. You and every other American may eventually feel at least tremors from it. The U.S. government reported a far worse than expected widening of the nation's trade deficit. These figures are for February, latest month available. The news dropped the dollar a lot against major foreign currencies, but the biggest shockwave rumbled over Wall Street. The Dow Jones Industrial Average plunged 101 points. Officials stopped computer-driven program trading when the decline reached 50 points in an effort to halt the slide. That didn't do it. The Dow still hit its fifth worst one-day loss ever. CBS News business correspondent Ray Brady reports.
Along with stocks, the jump in the trade deficit sent the American dollar tumbling. Even though giant central banks tried to break the dollar's fall, in the New York money markets where they trade in the world's currencies, some fear there could be worse to come.
So, you are not far from all-time historic lows in the dollar. I don't really know how much lower it can go, to be honest.
Economists had been forecasting an improvement in foreign trade because of the low-priced dollar. And on the docks, you can see more U.S. products going abroad, $23.6 billion worth. But even more foreign products came here, more than $37 billion of them. Result, an even bigger trade deficit, more than $13 billion, the greatest since last October.
The problem is that the deficit is so immense that it's just going to take an awfully long time to correct, and along the way we're going to have a bunch of disappointments.
One irony, it's U.S. prosperity that's hurting the trade figures. Americans are spending more. They're buying more U.S.-made cars, for example. But increasingly, the parts for those cars are foreign. They were the top manufactured import, followed by electronic products, the kind of thing that's hardly made here anymore.
It might take a recession in this country to balance out our situation. The economy's pretty hot right now, and people are buying a lot of foreign goods.
In Washington this week, the 7 top industrial nations pledged not to let the dollar drop further, amid predictions that America's trade woes may be ending soon.
But in the money markets, they're saying if that prediction of a trade improvement doesn't work out soon, the American dollar will face another beating in markets around the world. Dan?
Thanks, Ray. Congressional Democrats reportedly decided tonight to keep a controversial provision in the sweeping trade bill, facing down President Reagan's veto threats. The provision requires many of the nation's companies to give workers 2 months' notice of plant closings and layoffs. One U.S. sailor was killed tonight when a car bomb blew up outside a servicemen's club in Naples, Italy, headquarters of the U.S. 6th Fleet. At least 5 people were killed in all, and many more injured in the terrorist attack. Doug Tennell in New York is following the story.
The USO Club in Naples was well known as a gathering spot for American servicemen. The explosion there tonight shook the entire neighborhood and sent a huge cloud of black smoke into the air above the old port. The bomb is believed to have been hidden in a car parked outside the club.
Right now it's just some type of a blast, I don't know.
What do you remember?
Getting knocked on my ass.
In the rush to care for the injured, an American flag was hastily draped over the body of one of the victims. The usual pandemonium of Naples turned into chaos. Investigators are still trying to establish who could be responsible and why, but there is an especially ominous timing about the bombing. The last time an American serviceman died in a terrorist attack like this was in Berlin, a bomb said to have been planted by Libyan agents. The Reagan administration held Muammar Gaddafi personally responsible, and in reprisal, American jets bombed Gaddafi's capital city, Tripoli, exactly 2 years ago today. Doug Tennell, CBS News, New York.
In the Persian Gulf, 10 American sailors were injured and a U.S. Navy warship was damaged by an underwater explosion, possibly from an Iranian mine. The frigate Samuel B. Roberts had just finished escorting a convoy of U.S.-flagged Kuwaiti tankers through the Gulf. Arab gunmen released one more hostage today from that hijacked Kuwaiti airliner now in Algiers. Algerian officials said the man was a Kuwaiti in his 50s. The hijackers are still holding about 30 hostages. Negotiations resume tonight with the Algerians mediating between the hijackers and the Kuwaiti government. The gunmen are still demanding freedom for 17 terrorists imprisoned in Kuwait. One Algerian official today described the Kuwaiti government's mood as very tough. He said it was hardened by the funerals today in Kuwait for 2 murdered hostages. CBS News' Mark Phillips is in Kuwait.
The funeral of the 2 Kuwaitis killed on the hijacked plane was a full state occasion today. The bodies draped in the Kuwaiti flag, a military band playing as the 25-year-old border guard and 20-year-old fireman were lowered to their graves. Kuwait's Crown Prince and Prime Minister Sheikh Saud offered condolences to the families of those killed. The funeral was called a gesture of sympathy and respect. If the hijackers have proclaimed the plane of the martyrs, the Kuwaitis provided a martyr's funeral of their own today. No one has a lock on martyrdom in this deadly standoff. And few people at this funeral had any doubts as to who they think is really behind the hijack.
I think, Iran. Iran is behind it 100%. Well, all the indications say that, all the indications. But of course, they will deny.
Deny it they have.
I said exactly that these allegations are so baseless that I think it doesn't worth an answer.
Yet the allegations persist. Released hostages, now reunited with their families, say the hijackers seemed relaxed while the plane was in Iran and that more gunmen joined them there.
When I saw everything easy for them in Iran and 2 hijacks came from Iran.
The Kuwaitis acknowledge the Iranian support may only come from a faction within the Tehran regime and not from the whole government. But this is a small conservative country living beside a revolutionary hostile power, and every threat from Iran, real or imagined, is taken seriously. Mark Phillips, CBS News, Kuwait.
Afghan rebels and their supporters in this country are heartsick about it, but in Geneva today, Secretary of State Schultz signed a controversial agreement which is supposed to begin ending the Soviet occupation in Afghanistan. The agreement will not end the war. Wyatt Andrews begins our report.
They signed the Geneva Agreement in silence. For the Soviets, a commitment to end their 8-year-old invasion. For the U.S., an insurance policy promising the Soviets will leave.
The stage has now been set for the Afghan people to determine their own future, free of Soviet forces, and for the refugees to return to their homes.
The terms of the Soviet withdrawal are clear. It begins May 15th. Half of all Soviet troops withdraw by mid-August, with everyone out in 9 months. But the agreement also has serious flaws. Despite clear written promises not to interfere in Afghanistan, the U.S. and Soviets have a backroom understanding that seems to invite intervention. If the Soviets send any arms to Kabul, the U.S. will feel free to arm the rebels.
As the Soviet Union asserts its right to supply arms to those whom it supports in Afghanistan, we do as well.
But that's just the side deal, according to Schultz. The Soviets immediately disputed it.
The United States has no legal right to deliver arms to the forces engaged in the struggle against the legitimate Afghan government.
The Soviet withdrawal begins a month from now anyway, with none of the Geneva participants under any illusions about the agreement they just signed. Everyone understands these are peace accords that will not bring peace, that these are promises of non-intervention no one intends to keep, and that all of this was a diplomatic exercise giving the Russians the chance to lose this war under the guise of having found a peaceful solution. Wyatt Andrews, CBS News, Geneva.
Both the Soviet Union and the United States are pouring weapons into the hands of their Afghan allies as if the biggest battle is yet to come. The communist regime in Kabul intends to fight on after the Soviet army leaves. The Afghan resistance fighters based in Pakistan have an estimated 18-month supply of arms. They intend to make the departure of the Soviets as costly as possible.
This accord is not binding on us. We will continue our armed struggle till the last Russian soldier leave.
Most experts believe that without Soviet troops to prop it up, the puppet regime in Kabul will eventually fall.
The most likely prospect is there will be a civil war for some time to come, but I think a very big question is whether the guerrilla alliance will stick together.
The Afghan guerrillas are united only in their hatred of the Soviets. Without the Soviets as targets, they could turn their guns on each other in a power struggle. And the lion's share of American weapons has been given to the most radical of the fundamentalist groups.
you could end up with a regime that professed the same ideas as Khomeini's and which was close to the Iranian government and acted as its ally on the international scene with all the consequences one can imagine.
This is a prospect almost no one would welcome, especially America's ally, President Zia of Pakistan, who has the world's biggest refugee problem. The 3 million Afghan refugees in Pakistan will not go home until the fighting stops. The big question now is what America's future policy will be. With the Soviets on the way out with the blessing of the U.S., the danger is that the Muslim fundamentalists we've been supporting all these years may actually take over, and we could end up with another Iran, or even worse, another Lebanon. Tom Fenton, CBS News, London.
Still to come on the CBS Evening News, correspondent David Martin on anti-terrorism training that was too realistic. And Harry Smith on one of the nation's richest couples in tax trouble. A story with a moral as tax time draws near.
Uh-oh, this evergreen's turned sickly yellow. You know, whether the problem's winter damage or iron deficiency or alkaline soil, here's one thing that can help save your evergreens: Stearns Miracid. Miracid works fast, provides special chelated iron, nutrients, and soil acidifiers, and that's exactly what azaleas and other evergreens must have to grow strong and beautiful. Sure, ordinary plant foods feed, but Miracid feeds, ironizes, acidifies for more beautiful evergreens.
Organ transplants are a modern miracle.
Let's close. Good thing we found a donor. Can you believe there's a time when people wouldn't even talk about donating organs?
But the need is still critical. That's why Dow is funding a major educational effort to encourage organ donation.
Mrs. Simpson, Jenny is doing fine. She's a brave little girl.
It's hot. It's cool. Ford Ranger is kicking up excitement with good looks, lots of power, great value.
Having fun, looking good.
Ford Ranger, built fun tough.
I've got big news for prune lovers who also love cereal. Actually, it's kind of small news when you look at it. It's Sunsweet bite-sized pitted prunes. Try them on your cereal and you'll agree Sunsweet bite-size is just the right size.
Less than a week to go now to the New York presidential primary. Indications of a possible Michael Dukakis lead in the latest CBS News poll out tonight, keeping in mind that the polls have been wrong a lot this year, and so have reporters, and there have been fast-developing trends, changes, and reversals throughout this primary season. CBS News chief Washington correspondent Bob Schieffer has the latest on supposedly who's up and who's down.
Al Gore!
Al Gore picked up the endorsement of New York Mayor Edward Koch today, and according to the new CBS News poll, Gore needs all the help he can get. The survey over the last 3 days of 581 likely Democratic primary voters shows Dukakis holding a comfortable lead over Jesse Jackson, with Gore running a poor third. But for Dukakis, the good news goes beyond that. Jackson continues his lock on black voters, but thus far is not attracting enough white support to close the gap on the Massachusetts governor, while Gore remains largely unknown.
We need a president who's not just going to talk tough, but who's willing to show some strength.
This commercial is part of a $1 million media blitz that Gore has launched here, a campaign that as yet isn't working. 2/3 of the people we surveyed still have no opinion of Gore. Even among those who saw the ads, Gore has not scored well here. Nearly 70% of those voters said the ads either had no effect or caused them to think less of Gore. But Koch promised today to pound the pavement for the Tennessee senator.
I'm available. Have shoes and mouth and we'll travel.
The help may be late in coming. Gore was never expected to win in New York, but what worries the Dukakis camp is the possibility Gore might siphon off enough of their man's support for Jackson to win here with a plurality. The survey suggests that won't happen. Voter preference here continues to break along racial lines. Jackson remains very strong among blacks, but generates high negatives among whites. Dukakis' strength is among whites, while Gore's campaign just isn't working yet. Bob Schieffer, CBS News, New York.
255 Democratic nominating delegates are at stake in the New York primary, the most except for California. But by far the biggest gaggle of delegates are hundreds of so-called superdelegates. Voters have no role in choosing them. With the race this close, and amid all the talk still of a possibly brokered nomination process, CBS News National Affairs correspondent Leslie Stahl has been looking into the wooing of the superdelegates, the people who may hold the keys to the nomination.
While the candidates barnstorm in the Bronx and in Brooklyn, another hidden primary is underway. In fact, the biggest primary of all, the contest for 645 superdelegates, congressmen, governors, and party officials.
You're going to remain officially uncommitted for a while.
Gore calls them even when he's on the road.
She's going to be very important. She's really influential.
The Dukakis campaign has been working the superdelegates since last summer, and it's paid off.
She's been leading Dukakis for a very long time.
Okay.
According to a CBS News survey, since Super Tuesday, Dukakis has picked up 44 superdelegates, the same number of delegates in the South Carolina caucus that he lost. In that time, Jackson has picked up just 6.
But even superdelegates must not supersede supervoters.
That has party leaders worried.
If the perception is that we haven't been fair in this process to either Jesse or Dukakis or anybody else, we're going to get hurt.
This is the Jackson superdelegate boiler room. One woman, and she's only now loading the names into a computer.
Just to give you some background.
This is the Dukakis operation, bustling. In the computer here, every superdelegate has a file stuffed with details.
She's Hispanic. She's interested in the healthcare issue, I see. She's Catholic, and she's a college graduate. And you have this kind of file on every single superdelegate.
On all the superdelegates.
Dukakis himself calls 10 to 25 of them every day.
He realizes that this is the base. I mean, these are the people who are going to assure the nomination for him.
So if I end up, for example, with 35% of the popular vote, I expect delegates to be corresponding with the popular vote.
But when party leaders created superdelegates, the idea was not one person, one vote.
What we're supposed to be doing is trying to set up a situation so that we win in November.
What are those 5?
At a Jackson campaign meeting last week, his supporters warned that a superdelegates stampede to Dukakis could backfire in November.
And we feel we've been treated unfairly. A lot of us regular voters won't vote. We say to hell with the Democratic Party.
The Dukakis campaign is no longer pushing superdelegates to make public endorsements. One top strategist said a flood of these people to Dukakis now could invite a protest vote. It could hurt more than help. Leslie Stahl, CBS News, Washington.
I used to have all different kinds of pain relievers in my medicine cabinet. But when I went in the hospital, my doctor gave me Tylenol. It took care of the pain, and just as important, it did it without irritating my stomach like aspirin, or even ibuprofen can. Today, my medicine cabinet has just one pain reliever in it, Tylenol. It's the only one I need.
Trust Tylenol, the pain reliever hospitals use most.
Suddenly, homes all across America are opening. They're opening for Coldwell Banker's annual Spring Open House celebration. More homes than ever before, so you're sure to find the one that's right for you. Just call your nearest Coldwell Banker office. But hurry, spring doesn't last forever, and neither does our open house celebration. Coldwell Banker, expect the best. A member of the Sears Financial Network.
It's a big game, big boy. But you got the stuff, cause you got off the ground this morning with a real winner. Wheaties, Wheaties, pure whole wheat. Now go tell your mama what the big boys eat. 99 cents is all it takes for a Baskin-Robbins tax break.
Baskin-Robbins Sunday price, a tax time deal you're gonna like.
Baskin-Robbins dream come true.
A tax time savings made for you.
A military appeals court ordered freedom today for Dr. Donald Billig. The former chief heart surgeon at the Bethesda Naval Hospital has been serving a 4-year prison term. Dr. Billig was court-martialed and convicted of manslaughter and homicide charges in 1986 for killing 3 patients through gross errors in surgery. Today's appeals court ruling said there was insufficient evidence against Dr. Billig and ordered him released. A secret U.S. Navy anti-terrorism team is now being accused of causing real terror and injury during a training exercise. CBS News Defense Department correspondent David Martin has the story and the exclusive pictures.
It looks real, but it isn't. A mock terrorist attack by Navy commandos known as SEALs on a U.S. military base. These exercises, designed to test defenses, were run by a secret unit called Red Cell under the direction of Commander Richard Marcinko.
For purposes of Red Cell, you were the terrorist.
Yes. The men played the role of terrorists.
Red Cell exercises were realistic. Too realistic, according to Ron Sheridan, a security officer at a Navy base in Seal Beach, California. Sheridan was taken hostage by Marcinko's men in a March 1986 exercise, which was taped for training purposes.
You know, they're bouncing me on the edge of the bed and bouncing my head on the floor.
Sheridan refused to talk, so Red Cell got rougher.
What they were doing was bouncing up and down on my back while they were holding my head underwater, so I was forced to inhale water.
What's your name, partner? Ron Sheridan. Good enough. Say it louder. Ron Sheridan. Good. What do you do? What do you do? Draw.
According to a doctor's report, Sheridan suffered a dislocated rib and multiple contusions and lacerations. Sheridan is now suing his captors.
I still have back problems and neck problems, and I'm still going to a physical therapist.
But you don't think it got out of hand?
No. I didn't think he was being manhandled, but I'm not 56 on his build. I'm used to taking lumps and bumps.
Marcinko was removed from command of Red Cell and placed under investigation for dereliction of duty. After nearly 30 years' service, his career was ruined. A high school dropout who had become one of the Navy's best-known warriors, picked in 1980 to form an elite counter-terrorist unit called SEAL Team 6. Marcinko did it fast, and it didn't make him any friends.
I did a shake, rattle, and roll. Definitely was a burr under the saddle.
But it was more than just that. One of his men pled guilty to fraud, the beginning of a Justice Department investigation of SEAL Team 6 that is continuing. SEAL Team 6 and Red Cell had one thing in common: Richard Marcinko.
You're the common denominator.
I'm real.
But you play fast and loose.
I play fast and hard. I don't think I play loose.
Marcinko is now in limbo here at the Washington Navy Yard, waiting to find out whether he will be prosecuted. In the meantime, Red Cell has been disbanded. One more failed effort in this country's attempts to combat terrorism. David Martin, CBS News, Washington.
Comedian Bob Hope's daughter-in-law was nominated by President Reagan today to replace resigned federal appeals court judge and rejected Reagan Supreme Court nominee Robert Bork. The proposed replacement for Bork on the appeals court, Washington attorney and Republican activist Judith Richards Hope.
The Last Emperor is an epic triumph. Winner of 9 Academy Awards, including Best Picture of 1987, Bernardo Bertolucci, Best Director, Best Adapted Screenplay, Best Cinematography, and Best Original Score. Also winner of Best Editing, Best Sound, Best Art Direction, and Best Costume Design. Don't miss the most honored film in more than 25 years, The Last Emperor. Rated PG-13, now playing at selected theaters. Check newspaper for showtimes.
Bring your home to Pella.
Bring your dreams to life with Pella wood windows and beautiful new Pella wood doors.
Bring your home to Pella.
Whatever you dream of, from a sunny sunroom to a kitchen bay, we'll help bring your dreams to life. Talk to the window experts.
Bring your home to Pella, the Pella Window Store.
This is As the Bowl Flushes.
John, our daughter is seeing someone from the wrong side of the tracks.
You mean?
Yes. He doesn't use automatic vanish.
No. Didn't we teach her that no other brand gives you that tough vanish formula?
Yes.
That it helps clean and deodorize with every flush?
Yes.
That the clean goes on and on?
Well, John, she is your daughter, too.
Is she?
Tune in next week when Porcelain says,
Our daughter's clean reputation is at stake.
with automatic vanish, the clean goes on and on.
Good news and bad news from the merry pranksters at the Internal Revenue Service. The bad news, tomorrow is tax deadline day. The good news, if you're one of the lucky 28 out of 100 taxpayers who got wrong advice from the IRS, can remember what the specific question and answer were, can remember when you called and the name of the IRS employee, then the IRS may not penalize you. That's the good news. For one of the world's richest couples, the tax news today was all bad. Correspondent Harry Smith reports on a hard day for the Helmsleys.
Leona Helmsley is queen of the Helmsley and Harley hotel chain. Her husband Harry owns the Empire State Building and is one of the richest men in America. They went to court today for something less than a royal reception.
Can you comment at all about your...
The Helmsleys face a myriad of charges that quite simply contend they cheated on their taxes.
Approximately $4 million in Helmsley Company monies were used to refurbish their home.
No little remodeling job, the Helmsley estate in Connecticut has been recently enhanced by the addition of a ballroom and an indoor swimming pool.
And up top?
On top we're going to have, of course, a
dance
floor.
In an old-fashioned way.
The government charges the Helmsleys wrote off the additions as a business expense.
From the richest to the poorest, tax cheating is so common in this country, unpaid taxes totaled more than $80 billion last year. It's the American way, and apparently no one is feeling guilty about it.
So there is a feeling that they get back at the government this way, and I think there's a feeling again that a person who otherwise is 100% honest doesn't feel that this is cheating.
Do I ever cheat on my taxes? No.
I think a lot of people do, or they might fudge, but I don't think they're cheating.
I can't say.
Perhaps hauling the Helmsleys into court was a not-so-subtle hint from the government, as millions of Americans rush to finish their taxes by midnight tomorrow. The message? Even for the very rich, a little foxtrot past the tax man is Uncle Sam's version of dirty dancing. Harry Smith, CBS News, New York.
And that's tonight's CBS Evening News. Later this evening at 7 Central Time, the program 48 Hours will take you inside and behind the scenes in the troubled world of television evangelism. We'll hope you'll join us for 48 Hours, Faith Under Fire, at 7 Central Time. Dan Rather, see you again soon.
Having fun with my daughter, Kim, wasn't always easy for me to do. It's not that I didn't want to. Oh, I did. But sometimes constipation would slow me down. I tried a harsh chemical laxative. They can be irritating or work too suddenly. Well, I found something I could live with. Metamucil fiber therapy. Pure Metamucil fiber regulates you naturally, safely. After all, fiber's what helps keep you regular. But I just wasn't getting enough. With Metamucil every day, I get plenty. So I'm regular now, and I'll stay that way. Gives you a whole new perspective on life. More fun. Come on, Mom. Here goes nothing.
Metamucil, and you could stay regular for the rest of your life.
Mustang GT, for people who want more out of life than a little peace and quiet.
The first name in copiers probably isn't the copier name you think of first, but it's a name that links speed and performance with uncompromising reliability and makes innovative technology simple to use. For meeting the needs of every size business, business relies on the most popular copiers in America. From personal to high-performance copiers, the choice is Canon. Call toll-free 1-800-OK-CANON.
Faith Under Fire. TV preachers battle scandal and shame as Americans look for answers. 48 Hours tonight.
This is CBS.